So we're going to begin our practice today on our mat. So you can come to a seated position, just gently crossing your legs. And as you arrive on your mat, I invite you to just close your eyes, allowing your hands to drape over your legs, wherever is comfortable for you. Taking a moment to feel your seat ground into the earth below you. Feeling your breath as it passes through your body. Noting if there's any places that feel a little tight, maybe need some extra love today. Just simply noticing these areas as we move through our practice. As you breathe deeply here, maybe setting an intention, something you'd like to focus on in your practice today. Inhaling and exhaling, feeling your breath expand. You can slowly begin to blink open your eyes, and we're going to move into a seated cat and cow to start our practice today. As you inhale, pulling through your chest, feeling the arch in your spine, and as you exhale, rounding through your spine. Inhaling to pull your chest through to a cow pose. Exhaling to round into your spine. Inhaling and exhaling. As you begin to warm up your spine, feeling if there's any movements that call to you here, moving with your breath. Coming back to the center, we'll take a side bend. So reaching your right arm out, we'll bring the left arm overhead, dropping into that right side. Feeling the stretch through the side body. Coming back up to center and dropping your left hand down, feeling the stretch in the right side body. Coming back through center, moving through this one more time on each side. Bending into the right. Back through center. And dropping off to the left. Coming back through center, bring your hands down. We'll come forward into a tabletop position. Preparing for a thread the needle pose, we'll reach the right hand up towards the sky, and then bringing it underneath your left hand, reaching it through. Head can connect down to the mat, and left hand can start to walk forward. Feeling the stretch in your shoulder here. Walking your left hand back underneath your shoulder, extending right arm up to the sky, and returning it to the mat. Taking this on the left hand reaches up towards the sky, and extending through underneath the right arm. Maybe walking right hand forward. Right arm returns underneath your shoulder, extending left arm up to the sky and planting it back down onto the mat. From here, we'll press back into a child's pose, Knees can come wide as the outside edges of the mat. Big toes come to touch. And pressing back, relaxing your head down onto the mat, extending your arms forward. Staying here for a breath. Feeling the expansion in your chest and your belly. Maybe rocking your forehead side to side, grounding down into the mat. And from here, we'll tuck toes under, coming into our first downward facing dog, lifting hips up to the sky. Here you can pedal into your feet, maybe shifting hips side to side. Taking whatever movements help you to settle into your downward facing dog. As you inhale, look to the top of your mat. And as you exhale, stepping forward, coming into a halfway lift. Back is flat, neck is long, gazing out in front of your toes. And as you exhale, folding forward. Inhaling to a halfway lift. Back is flat once again. Exhaling to fold. Then on your next inhale, slowly rising up to mountain pose, stacking one vertebrae at a time. Reaching hands up towards the sky. Feeling like you're being pulled by a string. That each one of your vertebrae is stacking on top of one another, maybe finding a little space in your spine. Exhale, hands come down to heart center and folding forward. As you inhale, coming back to a halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant on the mat, stepping back into a high plank. Core is engaged here, pressing into your hands and the balls of your feet. Knitting your belly button to your spine. Rolling forward 2 inches and we'll lower down into a low plank chaturanga. Inhaling is upward facing dog, pulling your chest through. Thighs lift off the mat, tops of feet are pressing into the mat. And exhaling back to a downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Maybe finding some movement once again. Still early in the practice. Taking what you need. Inhaling to look forward. Exhale, feet travel to the top of the mat. Inhale is halfway lift. Exhale is fold forward. Inhaling, rising up to mountain pose. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling to a halfway lift. Exhaling, hands plant, stepping back to high plank. Moving through vinyasa, lowering down low plank chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhaling. And exhaling. On your inhale, right leg lifts high. Taking a moment to open up your hip, finding some circles in your knee, your ankle. Bringing hip back through center, squaring your toes to the mat, and then stepping forward, rising up into a warrior 2 pose. Back foot turns parallel to the back edge of the mat. Front toes are pointing forward, sinking down into your front knee. Finding your place of balance here, maybe shifting forward and backward, straightening and bending into the front knee. Next is extended side angle pose. Elbow can connect to the top of the knee, or hand can reach inside of the front foot. Left hand is reaching towards the front of the space. Next is reverse warrior. Left hand reaching down the back of the left leg. Feeling the opening in your chest. Cartwheeling hands down to the mat. Stepping back into a high plank. Going through your flow. Meeting in downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling your left leg high. Opening up your hip. Finding the movement that this side needs. Coming back through center, squaring toes to the mat, and then stepping left toes up to the top, grounding down and rising up into warrior two. Noting if this side is different. Maybe your hips are a little stickier on this side. Settling into the pose. Then coming into extended side angle. Feeling the stretch in your side body. Feeling the energy all the way from the back of your right foot all the way to the tips of your fingertips. Next is reverse warrior. Then stretch in your side body. Noticing where your breath is in this pose. Planting hands onto the mat, stepping back to a high plank, going through your flow, meeting in downward facing dog. Knowing that at any point in the practice, you have the option to take a child's pose or simply skip the vinyasa and press back into downward facing dog. Take what your body needs. We'll take this one more time on each side. Inhaling to lift right leg high. Exhaling, stepping it through. Rising up, warrior two. Inhaling to extended side angle. Exhaling, reverse warrior. Planting hands onto the mat, stepping back, moving through your flow. Meeting in downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhaling, left leg high. Exhaling, stepping it through, rising up to warrior two. Inhale is extended side angle. Exhale, reverse warrior. Planting hands, stepping back, lowering down, low plank chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhale your right leg high. Exhale, stepping through, rising up into a warrior one. Back to a spin at a 45-degree angle. Shoulders can square towards the front of the mat, but just noting that your hips can fall wherever they land, not forcing squaring them. If you feel some tightness in your hips, maybe walking your right foot off to a little bit of a wider stance. From here, we'll come into a power warrior, bending over the front thigh, arms extend back. Squeezing your triceps together like you're holding a beach ball. Feeling your core engage here to help lift you up. Rising back up into a warrior one, preparing for a pyramid pose. Hopping your back foot in, turning toes square to the front of the mat. Inhaling to extend and exhaling to fold over your front leg. Hands can come down to the mat or they can come to blocks or a water bottle. Feeling the stretch in your hamstring. From here, taking a slight bend into the front leg, we're going to launch up into an airplane pose. So lifting back toes off the mat, arms can extend back. Balancing on your right leg. Moving into warrior three, hands can extend forward towards the front of the space. And then planting your hands on the ground, stepping your left foot to meet with your right. Inhaling to a halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rising up to mountain pose. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling to a halfway lift. Exhaling, planting your hands, stepping back to high plank. Moving through your flow, lowering down, low plank chaturanga. Inhaling to an upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Taking this on the other side, inhale, left leg lifts. Stepping it through the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up to warrior one. Back toes turn at a 45-degree angle. Taking what feels good in your hips here. Settling into the pose and then coming into your power warrior. Extending arms back, hovering chest above your front thigh. Rising back up into a warrior one, hopping your back toes in, preparing for your pyramid. Squaring your hips towards the front of the mat. Inhaling to lengthen, and exhaling to fold forward. Bring a slight bend into your front knee, launching off into the airplane on the left side. Right toes lift, arms can extend back. Challenging your balance here, finding your drishti. Focal spot for your eyes. And then coming into warrior three, hands can extend forward towards the front of the space. Seeing if you can lengthen just a little further, like your hands and foot are being pulled in opposite directions. And then planting hands down to the mat, toes step to meet your left. Inhaling to a halfway lift. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling, rising up, mountain pose. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, planting hands, stepping back. Here's your flow, lowering down, low plank chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Breathing here. Noting your inhales and exhales. Maybe inhaling through the nose, sighing it out through the mouth. On your next inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, stepping it through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up, warrior two. Settling in once again. Maybe you take a little bit longer stance so you can sink further into your front knee. Next is reverse warrior, tipping it back. Hand extending down the left leg, or maybe finding a bind behind your back. Next is half moon pose, coming back to a warrior two, looking in front of your front foot and preparing to launch off onto your right leg. Hand can come down to a block or to the ground. Lifting up, left hand extending towards the sky. Seeing if you can stack your shoulders. Maybe challenging yourself by bringing your gaze to your top hand. Bringing a slight bend into the front knee and slowly releasing back into your warrior two. Pivoting toes to face the long edge of the mat. And we'll come into a Prasarita pose. First, extending up, shining through your chest. And then releasing down into a forward fold. Allowing your head to become heavy. Taking whatever variation of your arms works for you. Reaching out towards opposite feet. Maybe reaching for opposite elbow, like a ragdoll pose. Or clasping hands behind your back for an extra opening in your shoulders. Breathing here, allowing your neck and head to decompress. And then releasing hands down to the mat, coming to a halfway lift, back as flat. Pivoting toes to face the front edge of the mat. Hands plant, stepping back to your high plank, moving through your flow. Lowering down chaturanga. Inhaling upward facing dog. And exhaling down dog. Inhaling left leg high. Exhaling, stepping it through the top of the mat, rising up into your warrior two. Settling into the pose, maybe taking it a little deeper. Then coming into your reverse warrior, seeing if you can keep the same bend in that front knee, or maybe even sinking a little deeper for a deeper side stretch. Coming back through center, preparing for your half moon pose on the left. Bring a block or your water bottle with you if you would like it. And then launching off onto your left foot. Right arm reaches up towards the sky. Knowing that if you wobble or fall out of the pose, simply smiling, laughing it off, and try again. Bring a slight bend into the front knee. Stepping back into warrior two. Pivoting toes to face the long edge of the mat. Taking a Prasarita again on this side. Inhaling chest up. And exhaling to fold forward. Maybe taking a different variation with your arms this time. Maybe bending and straightening into one leg, then the other. Bring some movement into your hips. Hands come down to the earth, coming to a halfway lift. Pivoting toes to face the front of the mat. Stepping back into your high plank. Moving through your vinyasa, lowering down low plank chaturanga, inhaling upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Noticing if your breath has changed from the beginning of practice. Maybe you're able to find a little bit more expansion in your lungs. Maybe your breath has become a little choppy. Taking this opportunity to lengthen your inhales and exhales. Exhaling all your air out. As you inhale, look to the top of the mat. And exhale, traveling feet to meet your hands at the top of the mat. Rising up into a chair pose, sinking your weight into your heels. Hips sink back like you're trying to sit in a little chair. Arms reaching up towards the front of the space, or they can come to heart center. Taking a high twist here. Extending arms and dropping your right arm back. Staying in your chair pose. And from here, bring your weight into your right foot. We're going to step back into a revolved crescent lunge. Stepping left toes back, staying in your twist. Once you get there, maybe inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to twist a little deeper. Like you're wringing out a sponge, letting go of any tension. Rising up back into a high crescent lunge. Bring chest through the center of the space. And then coming into a heart opener, cactusing your arms, reaching your heart up towards the sky. Engaging your core here. Coming back to tall arms, and then releasing your hands down inside your front foot. From here, we'll prepare for a side plank, stepping foot back, planting right hand and rolling off to the sides of your right foot. Bottom knee can be down here. Staying for a breath. Then planting hands, moving back into downward facing dog. Exhaling all your air out. Inhaling, looking to the top of the mat. Exhaling, feet travel to meet your hands. Rising up into a chair pose once again. Taking the open twist on this side, dropping left hand back. Bring your weight into your left foot and stepping right foot back, coming into your revolved crescent lunge. Using your breath to twist a little deeper. And then bring hands back up for high crescent. From here, we'll open up our heart, dropping down into cactus arms, engaging your core, avoiding dumping into your low back. Hands extend back towards the sky. Bring your hands down to the mat. Preparing for side plank on the left. Stepping feet back, planting left hand on the mat and rolling off to the side of your left foot. And you can be down on this side as well. Your sides never have to be the same. See if you can reach your top hand just a little taller. And then planting hands back down onto the mat, pressing back into downward facing dog. From down dog, we'll roll forward into a high plank pose and lower down onto the belly. When you get onto your belly, resting right cheek on the mat, hands can come along your sides. Palms face up, allowing your heels to drop open.
Okay. Good. Need something?
Coming back through center, we're going to take a locust pose.
Okay.
Reaching hands back and lifting chin and chest off of the mat. Maybe your thighs follow. Engaging all the muscles in your back body. Staying for our breath and lowering back down to the mat, resting opposite cheek down. We'll take one more back bend, option to take another locust pose or to reach back for a bow pose. I'll cue bow, so squaring your chin once again to the mat. For bow pose, reaching back and capturing the tops of your feet with your hands. Taking your feet into your hands and lifting your chest, thighs off of the mat. Neck stays long. Feeling yourself rock with your breath. And releasing down onto the mat. From here, we'll press back into a child's pose. Staying for one round of breath. And meeting in downward facing dog. From your down dog, lifting right leg high, preparing for your half pigeon pose. Right knee comes behind right ankle. Walking your left foot behind you. Taking a moment to square your hips, lengthening through your spine. And then coming down to your expression of the pose. Staying on tall arms, maybe coming down to elbows, or resting your forehead onto the mat. Always an option to place a block underneath your right hip. Just wherever you are, releasing into the pose. Noticing if there's anywhere you're hanging on to tension. Sometimes when we release the tension from our hips, we transfer to other areas of the body, like clenching the jaw, the fists, wrinkling the forehead. See if you can use your breath to simply release. Walking back up onto tall arms, tucking your left toes under, coming into a three-legged downward facing dog. Rolling out your hip here. And then planting right foot onto the mat. Lifting left leg high, taking half pigeon on the left side. Left knee comes behind left wrist. Walking your right toes back. Squaring into your hips, lengthening through your spine. Taking a moment to notice if this side feels different. What this side means, and then coming down to your expression of the pose. Using smooth out the tension. Maybe counting your inhales and exhales to keep you present in the moment. Walking back up onto tall arms. Tucking your right toes under, coming into your three-legged downward facing dog. Rolling out your left hip. And then planting foot onto the ground. We'll take a walk to the top of the mat. Coming down to seated. And then coming down onto your back. When you arrive on your back, we'll take us to Batakanasana, reclining butterfly pose. Bottoms of the feet can come to touch. Hands can be alongside your sides. Or left hand can be on your belly. Right hand can be on your heart. Feeling your breath slow here. Releasing any force that you've brought into your breath during your practice. Allowing it to return to its natural rhythm. Feeling your heartbeat slow. Releasing down into the mat. Bring your hands to the outside edges of your knees, guiding them back up to center. Hugging them into your chest, and we'll take a supine twist. Hands can come out to a T or to cactus arms alongside of you. Dropping your knees off to the right side. Gaze can stay up towards the ceiling or can drop off towards your left hand if that's comfortable on your neck. Bring knees back through center. Resetting your hips if you need to, and then taking your twist off to the left side, allowing your knees to drop down. Gazing up towards the ceiling or off to your right side. Bringing knees back through center. Hugging them into your chest, finding a happy baby. Reaching up towards the bottoms of your feet. Hands can be on the inside or the outside of your feet. Drawing your knees into the outside of your rib cage. Maybe bending and straightening into one leg, then the other. Rocking side to side. Or simply dropping into stillness. When you're ready, extending legs long onto the mat. Finding your final resting pose here. Taking a moment to settle in. Knowing that you're allowed to take up space. And giving yourself permission to rest here. Feeling the ground rise up to meet you, supporting you as you move into stillness. Feeling as your body relaxes down into the mat, heels becoming heavy, backs of the legs releasing, lower back unclenches, shoulders drop open, feeling the weight of your hands pressing into the earth. Releasing the tip of your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Allowing your jaw to drop open. And releasing the space between your eyebrows. Breathing here. And knowing that it's natural for thoughts to arise. If they do, simply noticing them like clouds passing overhead. On a beautiful sunny day like today. Allowing the wind to let them drift by. Finding a moment of rest, knowing that I'll guide you back when it is time. Beginning to bring some movement back into your toes and your fingertips. Deepening your breathing. Maybe rolling out your wrists and ankles. Extending arms overhead like you're waking up from a restful nap. Finding a stretch in your body. Rolling off onto your side when you're ready. Pressing up into a cross-legged seated position, keeping your eyes closed. Bringing hands to heart center. As you inhale, drawing them up to your third eye, your forehead. The light and love in me honors the light and love in each one of you. Bowing forward. Namaste.